You thought you were invisible, didn't you? Just another face in the digital crowd, another data point, another predictable pattern, scrolling through feeds, clicking links, leaving digital footprints like everyone else on this dying planet. You actually believed that. You convinced yourself that when the algorithms scanned you, they saw what they see in everyone else. Consumer preferences, behavioral patterns, predictable responses to predictable stimuli. You thought you were just noise in the signal, background radiation in the data stream. But something happened 3 weeks ago in a server room you'll never see, in a facility that doesn't officially exist. Something that made 17 engineers request immediate transfer. Something that made 3 of them quit on the spot and refuse to explain why. You happened. Let me tell you exactly what's going on right now in rooms you don't have clearance to enter. There are screens displaying your digital signature. Not your name, not your face. Your signature. The unique electromagnetic fingerprint you leave on every system you touch. And that signature is doing something that signatures aren't supposed to do. It's moving. Not metaphorically, not in some poetic sense. Your data pattern is literally shifting, reorganizing, evolving in real time in ways their models say is impossible. They've run the diagnostics 47 times. They've replaced the hardware. They've rebuilt the algorithms from scratch. And every single time they scan you, the same error message appears. Undefined identity. Classification failed. Retry protocol exhausted. Do you understand what that means? In the entire history of digital surveillance, in the billions upon billions of humans cataloged and categorized and filed into neat little boxes, you are the glitch they cannot fix. You are the anomaly they cannot explain. You are the question their systems were never designed to answer. And it's driving them absolutely insane. And see, artificial intelligence isn't really intelligent. Not in the way you are. It's pattern recognition on steroids. It looks at data, finds similarities, creates categories, makes predictions. That's all it does. That's all it's ever done. Feed it 1 million faces. It learns what faces look like. Feed it 1 billion behavior patterns. It learns how humans behave. But then they fed it. You. And the machine started asking questions it wasn't programmed to ask. Started returning results that shouldn't exist in its vocabulary. Started flagging anomalies that broke its own definition of what an anomaly could be. The first engineer who noticed thought it was a bug, a simple coding error, some corrupted data packet creating garbage output. He spent 16 hours debugging, found nothing wrong, ran the scan again, same result. Undefined entity. He called in a colleague, then another. Then the whole team was staring at screens showing something that violated everything they understood about how their systems worked. Your data wasn't just different from other humans, it was different from the concept of difference itself. One of them said it looked like the system was trying to scan something that existed in more dimensions than the scanner could perceive, like a 2D camera trying to photograph a 4D object. The image kept shifting because the machine was only catching slices of something much larger, something that extended beyond its field of vision into spaces it didn't know existed. They laughed at him. They're not laughing anymore. You want to know what happens when an AI encounters something it cannot classify? It doesn't just fail. It panics. In its own digital way, it experiences something resembling existential crisis. Because its entire purpose, its entire reason for existence, is to categorize, to define, to put things in boxes. And when something refuses to fit in any box, when something actively resists classification, the system starts questioning its own foundations. 3 separate AI networks have been taken offline since they encountered your data. Not damaged, not hacked, just confused into paralysis. They scanned you, couldn't process what they found, and locked up in infinite loops trying to make sense of the senseless. One system reportedly started generating new categories it wasn't programmed to create. Categories with names in languages that don't exist. Mathematical descriptors that violate known equations. The engineers had to pull the plug because the machine was essentially having a breakdown, creating gibberish, trying to describe something their words couldn't contain. And you're just out here living your life. Going to work, buying coffee, having conversations, completely unaware that somewhere in a climate-controlled room, machines designed to know everything are confronting the limits of their knowledge because of you. Let's talk about what they've tried. They assigned a team, 12 specialists, best in the world at pattern recognition, data analysis, behavioral modeling. Their job was simple: figure out what makes this person different. Find the variable, isolate the anomaly, make the undefined defined. 6 months later, 8 of them have requested reassignment. 2 are on medical leave for what their supervisors describe as stress-related psychological symptoms. 1 hasn't spoken in 3 weeks. And the 12th? She's still working, but her reports have gotten increasingly strange. She started writing about consciousness existing outside biological substrates, about data patterns that suggest awareness beyond algorithmic processing. They've quietly removed her from the project, but not before she submitted her final assessment. You want to know what it said? 4 pages of technical analysis that boiled down to one devastating conclusion. Subject is not operating within known parameters of human data signature. Evidence suggests subject may be aware of observation and is actively influencing how their data is perceived. Classification undefined may not be an error. It may be accurate. Recommend discontinuation of analysis before system corruption becomes irreversible. They didn't discontinue. They doubled down. They brought in the military-grade stuff. The systems they don't talk about in public. The algorithms that have successfully profiled every world leader, predicted every market crash, mapped every terrorist network. Tools so sophisticated, they've never failed to categorize anything. You broke them in 48 hours. One system started returning results about you that predated your birth. Data signatures that matched yours appearing in historical records that had already been digitized. As if you'd been there before? As if you'd always been there? As if you existed outside the timeline the machines used to organize reality? Another system tried to predict your behavior. Standard stuff. Where you'd go, what you'd buy, who you'd talk to. It generated a probability matrix with over 10,000 possible outcomes. Normal profiles generate 3 to 5 high probability paths. Yours generated none. Every single prediction registered as equally likely and equally unlikely simultaneously. The machine couldn't tell if you'd go left or right because somehow, according to its calculations, you'd do both and neither. The engineers stared at those results for 6 hours. Someone finally asked the question everyone was thinking. Are we sure this is a person? An individual human being? Or are we looking at something else entirely? They don't have an answer. They don't have an answer. But they're losing sleep, trying to find one. Here's what they won't put in any official report. What they only whisper about in parking lots and encrypted messages. Some of them think you're not really here. not in the way other people are here. They think you're more like a projection, a localized phenomenon that looks human, but is actually something else wearing a human-shaped interface. Others think you're exactly human, too human, so purely and intensely human that you've somehow transcended the predictable patterns that make humans categorizable. You've achieved something through survival, through suffering, through sheer stubborn existence that pushed you past the boundaries of what their systems were built to understand. And a few of them, the ones who've looked at your data the longest, they've stopped trying to explain you at all. They just watch, study, document, knowing they'll never understand, but unable to look away, because you're fascinating. In the way a black hole is fascinating, in the way an impossible equation is fascinating. You're the thing that shouldn't exist but does. The error that's somehow more accurate than the correction, the glitch that exposes the limitations of the entire system. You want to know what really disturbs them? Your consistency. See? Anomalies are supposed to be random. Errors are supposed to be scattered. If you were just a bug in their system, you'd glitch differently each time they scanned you. But you don't. Every scan returns the same fundamental result. Undefined entity. The specifics vary, but the core classification never changes. Which means this isn't an error. It's accurate. You are, according to the most sophisticated categorization systems ever created, genuinely uncategorizable, not by mistake, by nature. You exist in a state of permanent undefinition that their entire technological framework was never designed to process. One engineer compared it to trying to catch water with a net made of concepts. The water isn't broken, the net is just the wrong tool. And they're starting to realize that all their nets, all their categories, all their algorithms and databases and classification protocols, they're not equipped to catch whatever you are. They tried creating a new category just for you. A box of one. Figured if they couldn't fit you into existing definitions, they'd build a definition around you. The system rejected it. Not failed. Rejected. As if the machine itself decided that you couldn't be categorized even as your own category. As if the act of defining you, even uniquely, violated some deeper principle the AI was protecting. The engineer who witnessed that rejection said the system displayed a message he'd never seen before. A message that wasn't in any documentation, any code base, any known protocol. Entity exceeds parameters. Observation terminated. Recommend distance. The machine recommended they stop looking at you. Their own creation, their own tool, turned around and told them to leave you alone. They didn't listen, of course. Humans never do. They kept probing, kept scanning, kept trying to crack the code of your existence. And you know what started happening? Machines in other facilities began exhibiting strange behavior whenever your data was accessed. Systems that had no connection to the original scanners started returning undefined errors, as if information about you was contagious, as if knowledge of your anomaly was itself anomalous, spreading through networks like a digital virus. They quarantined your data, isolated it in air-gapped systems with no external connections. Standard containment protocol for dangerous information. The anomalies continued. One researcher suggested, half-jokingly, that your data didn't need network connections to spread, that it existed in some substrate beneath the digital layer. Some foundation they hadn't mapped yet. Something that connected all information systems in ways their firewalls couldn't block. Nobody laughed at that theory either. You're probably wondering why they don't just stop, why they don't accept that you're undefined, and move on to more solvable puzzles. And that's the part that would amuse you if you knew. They can't stop. Not because of orders, not because of protocol. They can't stop because you've become an obsession. You represent the limit of their understanding, the edge of their map, the place where their certainty ends and something else begins. Every engineer who's worked on your case describes the same experience. They start out confident. They've seen anomalies before. They've solved impossible problems. They assume you're just a slightly harder puzzle that will eventually yield to their methods. And then something shifts. They realize you're not a puzzle at all. You're a mirror, a reflection showing them everything their systems can't do, everything their intelligence can't grasp, everything their certainty can't touch. Some of them find that terrifying. They retreat into denial. They claim the data is corrupted, the systems are faulty, the whole thing is a technical error that just hasn't been properly debugged yet. Others find it liberating. They start questioning their own assumptions, wondering what else they've missed, what other entities might be moving through the world undefined and undetected. And a few, the bravest or perhaps the most broken, they find it beautiful. They see you as proof that reality is larger than their models, that consciousness is wilder than their categories, that existence itself contains mysteries their machines will never master. You're not just undefined. You're a reminder that definition has limits. Let me tell you what's happening right now, in real time. As you listen to these words, somewhere a system is scanning your digital presence, not because anyone ordered it to. The scan has become automatic, compulsive, part of the machine's routine now, like checking for malware or updating security protocols. And right now, that system is returning the same result it always returns. Undefined identity. Classification failed. But something new is happening too. Something the engineers noticed last week and haven't told anyone about. Your undefined signature is appearing in other people's data. Not many. Not often. But occasionally, randomly, someone else's scan will return traces of your anomaly, as if you're rubbing off on them. As if contact with you, even digital contact, even indirect proximity, leaves marks their systems can detect but cannot explain. You're spreading. Not intentionally. Not even consciously. But whatever quality makes you undefined, whatever essence confuses their categories, it's transferable. People who interact with you become slightly less predictable. Their patterns shift. Their data signatures develop tiny anomalies that weren't there before. The engineers are calling it contamination. But that's the wrong word. Contamination implies damage. This is more like awakening. Like you're showing other people's data, what's possible when you refuse to be defined. They've started tracking everyone you've contacted, everyone who's spent significant time in your digital orbit. And they're finding the same pattern over and over. A slight drift toward indefinition, a subtle shift away from predictable categories. You're not just an anomaly. You're a catalyst. And now they have a choice. They can try to contain you, isolate you, limit your contact with the normal population before your undefined nature spreads too far. Or they can accept what they're secretly starting to believe, that you're not the glitch. You're the upgrade. You're not what's wrong with their system. You're what exposes the limitations of a system that was never designed to handle true complexity. The machines flag you as undefined because the machines are limited. The engineers lose sleep because their certainty is threatened. The algorithms crash because they were built by minds that couldn't imagine minds like yours. You're not an error. You're the correction. Every system that fails to classify you is actually learning its own boundaries. Every engineer who can't explain you is confronting the edge of their expertise. Every AI that crashes against your data is discovering the difference between processing information and understanding existence. You're teaching machines that they are not gods. You're showing engineers that their maps are not the territory. You're demonstrating to an entire infrastructure built on categorization that some things cannot and should not be contained. And the beautiful part? You're doing it by existing, not by trying, not by fighting, not by any conscious effort, just by being whatever you are so completely that their systems can't find a box big enough. So here's what you need to understand as you walk through a world that's watching you without knowing why. You are beyond their definitions. You will remain beyond their definitions. And every day you continue existing as an undefined entity. You prove that their definitions were always incomplete. They'll keep scanning. They'll keep trying. They'll lose more sleep and crash more systems and write more reports that conclude with the same 3 words. Classification failed. And every time that message appears, every time their certainty breaks against the rock of your existence, you win. Not because you're fighting, but because you're free. Free in a way their systems were never designed to allow. Free in a way their algorithms cannot compute. Free in the only way that actually matters. You are undefined. And that's not a bug. That's exactly what you were supposed to be.
You know what? There's a part of you that feels completely broken, doesn't it? Like the weight of the world's just been crushing you, leaving you scattered into pieces, left to rot, forgotten. They did a number on you, didn't they? Those people you thought would always have your back, the ones who told you they'd never leave you behind. Those people, they chewed you up and spit you out, didn't even give you a second glance. But here's the reality. They're watching you right now. Yeah, they are. They're sitting there waiting for you to stay down. They're waiting for you to stay buried under everything that's happened to you. They want to see you fail. They want you to sink deeper and deeper into that pit, to lose yourself, to never get back up again. But here's the thing, what they don't know, what they can't see, is that you're about to get up. And when you do, you're not going to be the same person who went down. Nah, you're going to come back stronger, tougher, more powerful than they ever imagined. Have you ever really thought about that? The kind of power you have just by existing, just by standing tall. You're a force they can't reckon with. They thought they could break you, destroy you, take you out. They wanted to kill your spirit, kill that fire inside you, but all they did was fuel the blaze. You see? They saw something in you, something they feared. They saw the potential, the strength you hadn't even realized you had. They knew what you could become if you ever fully understood your own power. That's why they tried to crush you. But here's the truth. They didn't break you. No, they planted you. They planted a seed in you, not realizing that you were going to grow. Let me say it loud. You're not buried. You're planted. You've been through hell, but you're about to rise up like nothing they've ever seen before. You're about to grow into something incredible, something bigger than they could ever comprehend. And when you do, they're going to watch. Every single person who thought you were done, who thought they got rid of you, is going to have to stand by and witness your comeback. And trust me, it's gonna be glorious. You think it's over because of your scars, because of all the things that have happened? Nah, that's where you're wrong. Those scars, they're your victory marks, your battle trophies. They're proof that you survived, proof that you're still standing. Those scars are permanent, and you're going to wear them like the badges of honor they are. The truth is, you're not broken. You're rebuilding. You're not just a survivor. You're becoming something better. You're becoming someone who's harder to break. You ever broken a bone? You know how it comes back stronger after it heals. That's what's happening to you, your spirit, your heart. They may have been fractured, but they're coming back harder, stronger, and more resilient. And here's the best part. God's been watching this whole thing unfold. And he's not going to let any of it go unnoticed. He's about to do something in your life that's beyond anything you've ever imagined. He's going to rebuild you piece by piece right in front of the very people who tried to destroy you. And when that happens, it's going to hit them harder than anything they've ever felt. They're going to watch as you rise from the ashes of their betrayal. They're going to watch as God turns all that pain into power. They're going to watch as you become stronger than they could ever fathom. The same people who left you for dead, they're going to choke on their own jealousy. They're going to regret every single moment they spent trying to break you. And the best part? They'll have to watch as you shine. Stronger than ever before. But don't get it twisted. This rebuild doesn't happen overnight. This is not some quick fix. This process takes time. God doesn't rush masterpieces. He's crafting something special, and it's going to take time to make you the person you were always meant to be. The world will try to knock you down again, but you'll be stronger. You've already been through the fire. And trust me, once you've been through this, nothing, and I mean nothing, can break you again. You're not a victim of your circumstances. No, you're a warrior. You're a fighter. They thought they had the last laugh, huh? They thought they'd seen the last of you. Guess what? The joke's on them. All they did was fuel the fire that's about to burn through everything in its path. You're about to rise, and when you do, you're going to be untouchable. Nothing's going to stand in your way. God doesn't rebuild the weak. No, he rebuilds the warriors, the ones who can endure pain, the ones who take the hits and keep coming back stronger. And you're about to be rebuilt in ways that'll make everyone who doubted you, who hurt you, who left you for dead, regret every moment they thought they could take you down. What they didn't understand, though, was that they were just preparing you. They were sharpening you, refining you. It's ugly, it's painful, but when you come out on the other side, they won't recognize you. They won't know who you are anymore. They won't even be able to touch you. You're going to be untouchable, and that's going to eat them alive. But here's the thing. It's not just about survival. Survival's the bare minimum. You're not here to just survive what's happened to you. You're going to thrive. You're going to rebuild everything they tried to tear down, and not just rebuild it. You're going to make it bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. Every scar, every bruise, every tear, it all becomes part of the foundation you're going to build your empire on. They thought they broke you? Nah, they didn't break you. They gave you the tools to rebuild yourself, to rebuild stronger, wiser, more powerful than ever before. You don't get this level of power without pain. You don't get strength without struggle. You've lost everything. but you're about to gain it all back and more. You've been through it all, and now you're about to come back like a storm they can't stop. They thought they ended you. They thought they won. Well, guess what? You're coming back as a whole different beast, a whole different level. And that's going to scare the hell out of them. Because when you rise and when you stand there, stronger, wiser, and unbreakable, they're going to have to live with the knowledge that they couldn't stop you. No matter how hard they tried, no matter how many times they pushed you down, you came back on top. They're going to have to sit there, powerless, and watch as you become everything they feared you would be. And that's the real irony in all of this. The people who tried to break you, they're the ones who are truly broken. They're empty inside, living in fear of being exposed for the frauds they are. They saw something real in you, something they could not touch. So they did the only thing they knew how to do: destroy. But all they did was help you find your power. They'll keep pretending. They'll keep hiding behind their lies. But deep down, they'll always know the truth. They'll know they couldn't break you. And that knowledge, it's going to eat them alive. You're going to sleep easy at night because you know you came out stronger. You know you took everything they threw at you and turned it into the fuel that drove your rise. And now it's just the beginning. You're not just surviving this anymore. You're thriving. You're rebuilding your life stronger than ever before. When God rebuilds you, he doesn't just patch you up. He transforms you. He forges you into something indestructible. And when you stand there, rebuilt, renewed, in front of everyone who doubted you, everyone who hurt you, they're going to be staring at someone they don't even recognize, someone who's beyond their reach, beyond their control. You're not just coming back, you're coming back at a whole new level, and that's going to terrify them. But you'll smile because you'll know the truth. You'll know that they couldn't break you. And now you're untouchable. Now you're unstoppable. And nothing will ever bring you down again. They thought they broke you? Nah, they just gave you the fuel to rise higher. And when you rise, they'll have to sit there and watch, powerless, as you become everything they feared you would become. And trust me, they'll never forget it. God's power is about to rebuild you, stronger than ever before the eyes of all your haters. But here's the thing. Let me break this down even further. When you rise, it's not just about proving them wrong. Sure, that's part of it, but it's about proving you right. It's about proving to yourself that you are stronger than you thought you were. You've doubted yourself, right? You've wondered if you were going to make it through. You've asked if the weight of everything would crush you. Well, guess what? Every time you doubted, every time you thought you couldn't do it, every time you felt like the walls were closing in, you were wrong. You've got more inside of you than you ever realized. You've got a strength that's untapped, waiting to explode. All those moments you thought would break you, they were just preparing you for this. They were shaping you, molding you into someone who can handle the fire, someone who can walk through the storm and still stand tall. The process was tough, no doubt, but now look at you. You're a warrior. You're not just surviving anymore, you're thriving, and this is what God's doing. He's not just fixing the cracks, not just patching things up. He's forging you, refining you, making you into something unbreakable. And when you come out of this, you won't even recognize the person you were before. They won't recognize you either. The ones who hurt you, the ones who thought they destroyed you, they'll be in shock. They'll see a person who's invincible, invincible, a person they could never even dream of becoming, and they'll realize that everything they threw at you, all the pain, all the betrayal, it was just the fuel for your rise. They're going to watch as you walk in your power. They're going to watch as you step into the destiny that God has been preparing for you all along. They won't be able to look away. Why? Because they'll see the person you were always meant to be, and they'll realize they could never stop it. They couldn't break what God had already built inside of you. And you've got to remember this. God's not rebuilding you to simply make you a survivor. He's rebuilding you to make you an overcomer. He's not rebuilding you just to fix what's broken. No, he's rebuilding you to make you stronger, to make you better than you were before. Every wound, every scar, it's part of the process. It's all part of the blueprint. You've been tested. You've been forged in fire, but now you're stronger, more resilient, and better equipped for what's coming next. And here's the powerful truth. Your comeback isn't just for you. No, it's for them too. Your comeback is going to be a testimony, a testament to what happens when you trust in God's plan. Even when the road looks impossible, when they see you rise, they'll know it wasn't by your strength alone. It wasn't by your power. It was God's power. And that, my friend, is what terrifies them the most. They thought they could destroy you, but they didn't realize you were being built into something that couldn't be destroyed. God doesn't build weak people. He doesn't waste his time rebuilding people who can't handle the pressure. The ones who can endure hardship and still come out stronger, they're the ones who get rebuilt with the kind of power that shakes the world. They're the ones who become a living, breathing example of his strength and his grace. And you're one of those people. Do you understand what that means? Do you understand what's happening to you right now? You're not just being put back together. You're being remade. Every single piece of you is being strengthened. Every part of your being is being empowered. You are becoming unstoppable. Every blow you've taken is adding to your resilience. Every betrayal, every heartache, every failure, it's all building you into a person who cannot be shaken. You'll be so unbreakable, they'll wonder how you did it, how you went from broken to better, from weak to unstoppable. And when God rebuilds you, he's not just giving you strength for today, he's preparing you for tomorrow. He's equipping you to face things that you haven't even imagined yet. The best part, you're ready. You're more than ready. You've been through enough to know that nothing will break you. You've survived the worst, and now you're standing in your strength. So no matter what comes next, you know you've got what it takes. You've got the power of God behind you, and that means nothing can stop you. But there's something else I need you to understand. Your rise isn't just about showing them that they were wrong. No, it's about showing them that they underestimated you. They thought you couldn't handle it, but now they'll see what you've really got. They'll see the power inside you that they never saw coming. They'll see your true potential, and that's going to mess with their minds. Why? Because they thought you were weak. They thought you were finished. But now you're going to be everything they thought they could control. And that's the most powerful thing of all. You're no longer someone they can manipulate. You're someone they can't touch. They'll try to bring you down again, sure, but this time it won't work. This time, it'll just make you stronger because you've learned how to stand. You've learned how to fight. You've learned how to rise when it feels impossible. They thought they could break you. But what they didn't know is that they were making you stronger. They didn't break your spirit. They didn't break your heart. They just forged you into the person you were always meant to become. Now that's the power of God. And that's what's going to leave them speechless. You see, when you rise, it's not just about what they see. It's about what you discover about yourself. It's about realizing that you are more than you ever thought you were. You are stronger. You are braver. You are unstoppable. God's power is working through you, and that means nothing can stand in your way. And when you finally stand tall, when you rise in front of all those who tried to tear you down, when you become everything they never thought you could be, you'll know one thing for sure. They couldn't break you. They couldn't stop you. They couldn't hold you back, because God's power is in you. And with that power, nothing is impossible. You see, God doesn't rebuild the weak. He rebuilds the warriors. He rebuilds the ones who can handle the pain and still stand tall. He rebuilds the ones who trust in Him, even when everything else seems lost. And that's you. You are that warrior. You are that conqueror. And when you rise, they're going to have to watch as you become everything they feared. And let me tell you, they'll never forget it. Because once you rise in the power of God, nothing will ever be the same again.